Hey, my name is Abby Zimmerman, and the organization that I chose to do for this presentation is CODA. It stands for Kids of Deaf Adults, and it's not to be confused with Children of Deaf Adults. The difference is that CODA is specifically for children of school age, whereas CODA, Children of Deaf Adults, is for any child, any age. The organization was started by Amy Crumrine in 1999, and basically its mission is to get parents together to talk about different information, give each other advice, and one of the things that it wants to do is to provide a better understanding of the bilingual and bicultural aspect of hearing kids who have deaf parents. So the two biggest chapters of CODA are CODA in Maryland and CODA in California, which is called CODA West. Basically, throughout the United States, CODA organizations will get together and they'll do things like picnics, family festival events, holiday parties. But CODA West is known for Camp Surf, and that's basically where kids age 8 to 17 get together at Camp Surf in California, and they will do different activities like surfing, bodyboarding, sand sculpting, rock climbing, archery games. They have nightly campfires. They put on skits for the kids, arts and crafts, and the older kids, age 12 and up, get to do kayaking. So that's a real fun event for the kids. And the next part that CODA is affiliated with is they put on a huge CODA conference. It's in different places every year. For example, this year it was in New York. And basically they put on different workshops, and parents can go pick and choose which workshop they want to go to. Some examples of workshops are language and cultural identity. There's one for education and homeschool partnership, and then there's also one for family financial planning. And basically this conference is where the second part of the mission statement comes through, where the parents get together and exchange information between each other, give each other advice on how to incorporate their hearing children into the deaf community so that it doesn't die out. They give advice to each other back and forth. And many deaf parents that are involved in CODA, or have their kids involved in CODA, really enjoy it because it's just an outlet for their kids to go and hang out with hearing and deaf kids, use sign language, and just get involved in their deaf culture roots. And that's about it for CODA. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hosh, and for my organization, I did the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, otherwise known as the RID. And it's a national member-driven organization that was formed to facilitate the communication between people who are deaf and hard of hearing and those who can hear. And it was formed after a workshop that was held in June of 1964 in Muncie, Indiana. And the workshop took place just to form more of a structure within the deaf community. And the RID was formed with a four-pronged approach. And the first prong was education. They want to make sure that all of their interpreters have the highest education, and they want to be able to monitor the skills of all the interpreters to make sure that they have like all the new skills that they should. The second prong is standards, and in order to become part of the RID, you have to take interpreters tests, and so you have to become certified so they know that you're actually a good interpreter and they can use you at their organizations around the country. The third prong is relationships, and this prong just makes sure that there's lots of relationships between the interpreters within the organization, so everyone gets along and can go to each other with their own little interpreter questions. And the fourth prong is resources, and this prong just makes sure that all the interpreters have the tools that they need in order to succeed, and they're up with all the new technology that's in the deaf community. There's 58 chapters within the RID, and these chapters are there's a couple in every state, and they just do local fundraisers and stuff for the RID as a national organization. And RID also gives out a bunch of awards and scholarships for people who have a huge impact in the deaf community that they just want to recognize for all the work they've done. And that's it for the RID.
Hey there, I'm Kaylee Simon, and my organization is NAOBI, which is the National Alliance of Black Interpreters. And it's a great organization where interpreters who have gotten credit or are working towards getting credit for it, or even people that are just willing to learn ASL, they all come together and they are there to interpret for the African American community within the states. There's multiple states that are home to the NAOBI. There's one in Cleveland and in California, and they're all over. And they first started off in 1987 from a conference in Cleveland, Ohio. And Sharon Smith was very instrumental in starting this organization. And it's a group of over 500 members. And they have conferences all throughout the year where they come together and they teach each other new things that they've learned. They come together with the deaf community and they can interpret for them, meet new members, and it's a good way for everyone to get to know each other. They have 3 subgroups that they're very close to. The first one is the Hispanic and Latino subgroup, and then there's the Asian subgroup and the Native American subgroup, and they work very closely with the communities of them too. I said that they have over 500 members, but they're going very fast, and they're very instrumental in getting together with the deaf community and getting their name out there and helping everyone to join the deaf community with the hearing community, but also helping people to learn ASL that wouldn't usually want to learn it. And yeah, I think that's it. So
I'm Carrie, and the organization I researched was the National Black Deaf Advocates, or the NBDA. This organization was formed in reaction to racism and autism, which is discrimination against deaf and hard of hearing people. No sole individual is recognized as the originator of this organization, but in the early 1980s, people began to see the need for it. In 1981, Reagan was elected, and there was a huge backlash against conservatism. Also during this time was the emergence of hip-hop and MTV without captions, and TTYs also became very popular. Also during this time, Glenn Anderson became the first deaf African American to receive a PhD. So all of these things got people thinking about the need for a group dedicated to Black deaf Americans. In July of 1980, a Black caucus came together at the NAD convention to discuss their frustrations, which included the NAD's refusal to address the concerns of the Black community, and also the lack of representation of people of color as delegates. And then in June of 1981, 100 Black deaf people came together for a Black Deaf Experience mini-conference in Washington, D.C. It was very successful, and the next year there were 300 attendees, and all these things led to the formation of the NBDA, which now has more than 29 chapters. The NBDA has many programs for its members. They have a collegiate student leadership program. They have a Miss Black Deaf America pageant every year. They also have scholarships, which help strengthen the economic and educational advancement of deaf and hard of hearing African Americans. They also have a senior citizen committee, which provides a support system for Black deaf seniors. In addition, they have a training program specifically designed to train interpreters and translators of color, and they have a youth empowerment summit every summer for the youth and the kids and youth For Black deaf kids. Okay, that's all.
My name is Chelsea Kozeski, and my organization started out as SHHH, or Self-Help for the Hard of Hearing. But that organization was founded in 1979 by a CIA retiree named Howard E. Stones, and it actually started out in his own home, and he helped found it. And they had help from other people, but basically it was like furniture in his house, and it just was a really low-key type of organization. And membership was like $7 for anyone that wanted to join. But since then it's grown a lot, and it's become a huge organization, and it changed the name in 2006 to HLAA, or Hearing Loss Association of America. And since then, there have been over 20 national conventions, so there are a lot of new members. And also, since then, in 2009, they had their 30th anniversary, so really exciting for them. Basically, HLAA is the leading organization for hearing loss in America, and there are a lot more people with hearing loss than people actually would think. There are 36 million Americans with some sort of hearing loss, which is 17% of America. So it's the third highest public health issue behind heart disease and arthritis, so a lot of people. So basically, since there's so many people with this problem, they just reach out to all those people and their families and their friends so that they just know like what to do when that happens, if they're born with it or if it just happens later in life, just try and make it easier on them. One of their main goals is just to eradicate the stigma that falls behind hearing loss, because when people think that, they might think, oh wow, hearing loss, like that's a big deal, when really it doesn't have to be a big deal. They try to organize screenings for people because you might not know if you're like starting to lose your hearing, so they try to help with that. Their national office is located in Washington, D.C., and there are 14 different state organizations as well as 200 local chapters, and so this makes it a lot easier for people to associate with this group. And then also within this group, there are many outlets of their information. They have their own magazine, they have bi-monthly newsletters that they send out, they have e-news, they have online discussions and chats, and then they have annual conventions for anyone that just wants to know more about it. And their mission is all about communication. They just want people to see that it's not a big deal, that if you're educated and you know about it, it's just something it's here and it happens. And they just want to advocate for it. So they have, basically there's just a lot of people that testify for like legislative bodies to help with laws dealing with hearing loss. They try to do research on things like cochlear implants and anything else that they can do. And just as long as people know about it, then it's just not a big deal. So those are our deaf organizations. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.